Hello everyone, this video is going to be a baking marathon of various easy recipes you can make at home. If you're craving sweet or savory recipes, this video got you covered. So get your paper and pen because it's going to be so epic. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to be a part of this family. If you're an OG, welcome back. The first recipe is a soft dinner roll. We will start by adding 1/4 cup of powdered milk and 1 cup of warm water, 11 grams of dry yeast, that is about a tablespoon. Then we mix together to dissolve the yeast and the milk. Next, we will add 1 whole egg and 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then we mix again to properly combine. After that, we will go ahead and add 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, that is 420 grams, and then we knead for 5 minutes. You can use your stand mixer or your hands for this. Then we'll go ahead and add 90 grams of soft butter, and then we continue kneading until the dough becomes very smooth and stretchy. Once we are done kneading, we'll go ahead and cover the bowl and place in a warm area to double in size. This usually takes about 1 hour or 1 hour plus. Once the dough has doubled, deflect it and transfer it to an already floured work surface. Mold the dough into ball and divide into 8 equal parts. Take one piece of the dough and mold into ball, then flatten into a rectangular shape using a rolling pin. Cut half of the dough into strips. Then you roll the dough into log to create this beautiful pattern. Repeat the process for the rest of the dough. Place each of the dough into a baking tray layered with parchment paper and allow to rest for 30 minutes. Then we bake in the oven at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Look at how beautiful it turned out. What will you be pairing this dinner roll with? Tell me in the comment section. This dinner rolls is so soft that you can finish it at a sitting. and it's so delicious. For the second recipe, we'll be making this simple lemon cake. We'll start by adding 3/4 cup of sugar into a bowl, and we'll zest 1 whole lemon. And then we mix it together to get that amazing lemon aroma. Once that is done, we will be adding 120 grams of soft unsalted butter. And then we mix well until it becomes creamy. Then we add 2 eggs, but we'll be adding 1 egg at a time. Once we are done mixing in the eggs, we'll go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We mix very well until it's properly combined. Next, we'll be adding 1/2 cup of milk, and then we mix again to properly incorporate it. Then for our dry ingredients, we'll go ahead and add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then we mix very well until everything is well combined. Transfer your batter to a pan layered with parchment paper, then you level the top and you bake in the oven for 40 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius or 320 degrees Fahrenheit, or until skewer inserted inside comes out clean. This cake is a simple lemon cake that serves 2 people. Allow to cool down, then you cut yourself a big slice and enjoy with any beverage of your choice. The cake is so soft that it literally melts in your mouth. Will you be trying this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. For this next recipe, we'll be making this simple breakfast vanilla cake. We'll start by adding 3 eggs into a bowl and 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavor. Next, we'll add 1/2 cup of sugar, that is 100 grams, and then we mix very well to properly combine. After mixing, we'll go ahead and add 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, that is 80 ml, and then 1/2 cup of milk, that is 120 ml, and then we mix very well until everything is properly combined. Now for our dry ingredients, we'll go ahead and add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, that is 240 grams, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then we mix very well until a smooth batter is formed. Now for our final ingredients, we'll be adding half cup of plain yogurt. Yogurt adds more moisture to the cake and makes it become more soft. After mixing, your batter should look like this. Go ahead and transfer the batter into your baking pan. Tap gently to remove the air bubbles and then bake in the oven for 30 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Your simple vanilla cake is ready. Look at how beautiful it looks. Will you be recreating this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. This next recipe is a very common snack in many African homes. It's called chin chin. I made it using 2 methods, the baked one and the fried one. In a bowl, we'll be adding 3 cups of all-purpose flour and half cup of sugar, then half teaspoon of salt and half teaspoon of nutmeg. Then we mix very well. Next, we'll be adding 100 grams of unsalted butter. Then we mix very well with our hands to break up the lumps. Once you have finished mixing in the butter, your flour mixture should look like this. Then we'll go ahead and add 1 whole egg, 1/3 cup of cold milk, and 7 grams of vanilla sugar, that is about half teaspoon. Then we mix very well until a dough is formed. Do not knead, you just mix it. Your dough should look like this after mixing. Next, we'll go ahead and flour our work surface. Then we transfer the dough to it and then we roll out to 1 inch thickness. Once they are finished rolling out, we cut out the rough edges and set aside. We'll be using it to make more chin chin. Go ahead and cut the dough vertically into strips. Then we cut the dough horizontally to form cubes. Once we are done cutting the chin chin, next we'll add vegetable oil into a saucepan on a medium heat. Check if the temperature is right by dropping one chin chin into it. If it bubbles, then it's right. Add the rest of the chin chin into it. Allow it to fry while stirring gently at intervals. Next, we'll be working on the rest of the dough. We'll repeat the exact process just like we did in the first part. Once we are finished cutting the chin chin, scatter it to form an individual cube, then transfer it to a baking pan layered with parchment paper. This second batch will be baking it. Bake in the oven for 10 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit, or until it's golden brown. Then remember to also check on the one you're frying. Remember to turn at interval so that it can fry evenly. Once the chin chin has turned golden brown, it's time to take out from the oil. This is what the fried one looks like. We will check on the one that is baking in the oven. Once we have baked it for 5 minutes, mix it up together and then continue baking until the 10 minutes is up. After 10 minutes, it should look this beautiful. So which one do you prefer, the fried one or the baked one? Will you be trying this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. For this next recipe, we'll be making meat pies or empanadas like some people call it. We'll start by adding 2 cups of all-purpose flour into a bowl. Next, we'll add 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Then we mix together. Next, we'll go ahead and add 100 grams of cold butter. Then we mix very well to break up the lumps. After mixing, it should look like this. Then we'll be adding 1 egg and 30 ml of water. Mix very well until a dough is formed. Transfer your dough to a work surface and then roll out using a rolling pin to 1/2 inch thickness. Cut into shape with a circle cutter, or you can use a bowl plate for this. Scoop your already prepared meat filling into it. I'll be showing how I made this meat filling in another video. Then wrap the filling using the dough just like I'm doing in this video, and then seal with your fingers and twist. You can use fork for this, but I decided to make this beautiful pattern by twisting the edges. After that, transfer to a baking tray layered with parchment paper, then brush egg on it to give it the extra shine after baking. Bake in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius or 320 degrees Fahrenheit. This meat pie can be considered a meal on its own because it is so filling and it's so delicious. Will you be recreating this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. This next recipe is what I like to call chocolate and milk muffin thin bread. This is usually the kids' favorite because of how beautiful it looks. We will start by adding 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour into a bowl, 1/3 cups of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of dry yeast. Then we mix together. Next, we'll be adding 1 cup of warm milk. Then we knead for 5 minutes. You can use your stand mixer for this or your hand. After kneading for 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and add our next ingredients, which is 35 grams of soft butter. Then we continue kneading until the dough becomes smooth and very stretchy. Take out the dough from the bowl, mold into ball and divide into 2 equal parts. Into one part, we will be adding 1/4 cups of cocoa powder and 2 tablespoons of warm milk. Then we mix very well until a chocolate dough is formed. Transfer the chocolate dough to a clean bowl. Then add few drops of vegetable oil on the chocolate dough and on the plain dough. Rub it together. Then cover each of the dough and place on a warm area to double in size. Once the dough has doubled in size, transfer each of the dough onto a work surface and divide each of the dough into 24 equal parts. Mold each of the dough into small balls. Now that we have finished turning the dough into balls, next is to get your muffin pan and layer them with muffin papers. Into each of the muffin tins, we will be putting 2 plain doughs and 2 chocolate dough into it. That is a total of 4 balls. You can arrange it however way you want. Maybe the plain dough together and the chocolate dough together, or 1 chocolate and 1 plain. However way you arrange it is beautiful. Cover it and allow to rest for 30 minutes before baking in the oven. After 30 minutes, take out the cover and bake in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at how beautiful it turned out. Enjoy with your morning coffee or your tea or whichever beverage of your choice. You can also add this to your kids' breakfast or their lunch box. They will enjoy it because it has chocolate in it. I know kids love chocolate. Will you be making this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. This next recipe is a snack called egg roll. This is another way of getting your daily dose of protein. It is simple to make and it is so delicious. We will start by adding 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour into a bowl. Next, we'll add 3 tablespoons of sugar. One teaspoon of salt and half teaspoon of nutmeg. Then we go ahead and mix it together to properly combine. Next, we'll go ahead and add 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla for extra flavor, and half cup of milk. If you don't want to use milk, you can use water for this. And then 30 grams of melted butter. Then we mix together to form a soft dough. This recipe makes 6 egg rolls. So while we are mixing the dough, we will also be boiling 6 eggs on the stove. Slightly flour your work surface and transfer the dough to it. Then we mold the dough into a ball and then we divide into 6 equal parts. Take 1 piece of the dough and flatten with our hands. Then we bring our hard-boiled eggs and some flour for dusting the egg. Then we'll go ahead and add 1 piece of the egg into the flour to dust it, and then we transfer the egg into the center of the dough and cover it to form a ball, just like I'm doing in this video. Rub it together in between your palms to seal any opening. It should look like this once you're done. We will repeat the process for the rest of the dough. Next, we'll add some vegetable oil, enough for deep frying, into a saucepan on medium heat. And then we add the egg rolls into it and fry until it's golden brown, while we keep turning it at interval to ensure an evenly fried egg roll. Once the egg roll is perfectly fried on all the sides, take it out of the oil. Look at how gorgeous it looks. Which beverage will you be pairing this with? Will you be trying this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. Once it has cooled down completely, let's cut into it to see how it turned out. Look at how gorgeous it is. For the next recipe, we'll be making this simple round bread. It requires minimal effort and few ingredients. We will start by adding 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour into a bowl. You can also use bread flour for this. Next, we'll add 1/4 cups of sugar and 1 sachet of dry yeast, that is 5.5 grams, and 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Then we mix together to properly combine. Next, we'll be adding 1 egg, 1/4 cup of warm milk, and 1/4 cup of warm water. Then we knead on medium for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and add 30 grams of butter. Then we continue kneading until the dough becomes very smooth and stretchy. Take out the dough from the mixer and transfer to another bowl, and then cover and place in a warm area to double in size. Once it has doubled in size, take out the dough and transfer it to your baking pan layered with parchment paper or greased with butter and flour. Once you have transferred the dough to the baking pan, spread it out to cover the base of the baking pan. And then smoothen it out using a flat item. I'll be using one of the measuring cups for this. Once that is done, we'll be using this to make vertical and horizontal mark on it to form a beautiful pattern. After that, we'll allow it to rest for 30 minutes before baking in the oven. Bake in the oven for 30 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. It should look like this after baking. Transfer it to a plate and enjoy. Will you be making this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. This next recipe is called fish roll. If you enjoy eating fish, then this recipe is for you. It is so yummy, it is so delicious, and it is very easy to make with just few ingredients. Into a bowl, we'll be adding 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, we'll be adding 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Then we mix all the dry ingredients together. Next, we'll be adding 1 egg and 3/4 cup of water, and then we mix very well to form a dough. For this recipe, we will be using sardines, but you can use tuna or any fish of your choice. Get a can of sardine and empty the contents into a bowl. If the oil is too much, reduce it. Next, we'll go ahead and break the sardines into smaller pieces. After that, we'll be adding about half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and some chopped onions. Then we go ahead and mix everything together. Now that our fish filling is done, set aside, then transfer the dough onto a work surface. Mold the dough into a ball and divide into 8 equal parts. Take one piece and roll as thin as possible using a rolling pin. Cut out the uneven edges and set aside. Scoop some of the sardine mixture at the beginning of the dough. Then we roll to form a log. Repeat the process for the rest of the dough. I forgot to show this part at the beginning. Once you have rolled it up to this extent, apply some water on it to help in sealing up the dough. Add some vegetable oil into a frying pan on a medium heat and then fry the dough until golden brown while turning at interval to ensure an evenly fried fish roll. Once it has perfectly fried on all the sides, take out the fish roll out of the oil. Go ahead and fry the next batch of the fish rolls. This is what it looks like after frying. This fish roll is so good and it tastes so amazing. Will you be trying this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. For this next recipe, we'll be making crispy cookies with chocolate fillings. This is a very delicious cookies and it's very simple to make. Let me show you how to make it. In a bowl, we'll be adding 120 grams of soft butter. If your butter is not soft, put it in the microwave for just 10 seconds. Next, we'll be adding 2/3 cups of icing sugar, that is 100 grams, and then we mix very well until it becomes creamy. For our final ingredients, we'll go ahead and add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and then we mix very well to form a dough. Next, we'll slightly flour our work surface and then transfer the dough to it. We'll roll out the dough using a rolling pin as thinly as possible. Then we cut into shape using a circle cookie cutter. This is the size we are going for. Then we divide the circle into two to form a semicircle. Transfer 1/2 of the semicircle to a baking tray layered with parchment paper. Then for the second half, we use this cone-shaped cookie cutter to cut out 3 small holes out of it. Once we are done cutting, we will take out the excess. We will also transfer it to a baking tray. And then we bake in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of how crispy the cookies are, you need to literally stand by its side so that it won't burn. Once the cookies have cooled down completely, then we'll melt some milk chocolate. Scoop some of the chocolate on the first half. And then we cover the first half using the second half to create a semicircle cookie with chocolate filling. These cookies are so addictive that you will never get tired of eating them. Will you be recreating this recipe at home? Let me know in the comment section. This next recipe is also a meat pie recipe or empanadas, but this time I will be showing how I made the fillings. Into a pan on a medium heat, we'll be adding 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, some chopped peppers and onions. Then we saute for 30 seconds. Next, we'll be adding 300 grams of ground beef. Stir until it becomes crumbled and loses its pinkness. Next, we'll be seasoning it with all the ingredients listed on the screen. Half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of beef seasoning, half teaspoon of ginger, half teaspoon of garlic powder, half teaspoon of mixed herb, and half teaspoon of curry powder. Then we mix together to properly combine. Next, we'll be adding one medium-sized potato that we've already diced. Next, we'll be adding 1 cup of water and then we'll cook it for 5 minutes. And then we add 1 carrot, diced or shredded. And then we'll be adding half cup of chopped lettuce. The lettuce is optional. And then we'll be adding about 1/3 cups of cornstarch slurry. We mix very well until it's properly combined. The slurry helps thicken the filling. Transfer to a plate or a bowl and allow to cool down completely before using it. Next, it's time to make the dough for the pie. We'll start by adding 500 grams of all-purpose flour into a bowl, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and half teaspoon of baking powder. Then we mix very well to properly combine. Then we'll be adding 200 grams of cold butter. We mix very well until the butter is properly incorporated into the flour and no lumps can be seen. The flour mixture should look like this if the butter is properly incorporated. Next, we'll be adding 2 eggs and 60 ml of cold water. And then we mix very well until a dough is formed. Transfer the dough to a work surface and divide into small parts so that it will be easier to work with. Roll out the dough using a rolling pin to 1/2 inch thickness or to your desired thickness. We'll cut a circle shape using this dough cutter. Scoop 1 tablespoon of the filling into the center of the dough and then close the pie cutter to seal the dough. Repeat the process for the rest of the dough until you've exhausted all the dough. Transfer the pie to a baking tray layered with parchment paper. Perforate the pie using a fork to create an air vent. Crush some egg on it for extra shine. Bake in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This is what it looks like after baking. This pie is so delicious. It is flaky, it is so good and filling. If you have watched the video up to this extent, you're the real MVP. Please tell me in the comment section which of the recipes are your favorite and which one you would like to recreate at home. I would also love to read about your questions and your opinions. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also feel free to share this recipe with your loved ones. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.